Hello and welcome to the world of stories. I'm sure you're here for a bedtime story to help you drift into sleep. And so, let's begin. Carter Hall Wood was thick and green and dark, and people said it was the home of fairy folk. One bright summer's day, Janet, the Earl's daughter, made up her mind to go and explore it for herself. She crept out of the castle and set off down a narrow path deep into the woods. After a while, Janet reached a small stone well in the middle of a clearing. There were roses climbing all over it, far more beautiful than any in the castle gardens, and Janet bent to pick one. No sooner had the stem broken off in her hand than Janet heard a voice that said, "Naughty, naughty Janet, who said you could come here into our wood and pick up one of our roses?" Janet straightened up with a start. There before her stood the most handsome young knight she had ever seen. She tossed her hair proudly and replied, "How dare you speak to me like that? These woods belong to my father, the Earl. I shall go where I choose and pick whatever flowers I like." Delight sparkled in the young man's eyes at her bold answer, and he threw back his head and laughed. "I am Tomlin," the knight said, taking Janet's hand and spinning her round, "and today you shall stay here in the forest with me, and we shall play." All day long, Tomlin and Janet wandered through Carter Hall Wood. They danced and sang and told each other stories, and by the evening they were deeply in love. "I will not return to the castle without you," Janet vowed. "You must come with me, and I will beg my father to let you stay." "I cannot leave the wood," replied Tomlin sadly. "I was once human, but many years ago, when I was riding through the forest, the fairy queen caught me and enchanted me. Now I am an elf knight, and I must ride by the side of the fairy queen to protect her forever. I only wish that I could be a man again, for then I would surely marry you." "Is there no way to break the spell?" Janet sighed. "There is," Tomlin said gently, "but you must be very brave." "Tell me what I must do," Janet whispered. "This very night is Halloween," Tomlin explained, "a night when fairies, goblins, and witches ride abroad. You must go to Mile Cross and hide there until midnight, for then I will come riding by. First, you will see a troop of riders on black horses. Then there will be a troop on brown horses. Next will come riders on horses as white as milk, and in the middle of them will ride the fairy queen herself. I will be among the elf knights at her side, and I will wear only one glove so you can find me quickly among the throng. When you see me, you must run to my horse, seize its bridle, and drag me down. You must then hold me fast, no matter what happens, for the fairy folk will cast all sorts of spells on me to try to keep me. If you have the strength and courage not to let go, the enchantment will at last be broken, and I will be yours." Tomlin took Janet's hand. "Do you think you can do all this?" he asked quietly. "Yes," breathed Janet. "Yes, I will." Later that night, when everyone else was safely inside the castle, with the doors and windows barred, Janet hid in the darkness on the moor at Mile Cross. Just before the stroke of midnight, she heard the thunder of hoofs, and out of the night appeared hundreds of black horses, bridles jangling and manes flying. On their backs were witches with bony fingers and sunken faces with dead staring eyes. Next, the brown horses galloped past, whining and snorting. The wrinkled goblins who rode them whipped them with the willow switches and clutched the reins with wizened fingers. Then the white horses came, like glowing ghosts through the gloom, wild-eyed and foaming at the mouth. And at the center of the riders, Janet saw the beautiful fairy queen, sitting tall and fierce and proud. Quickly, Janet searched for a rider with only one glove. She plunged in among the pounding hoofs, pulled down the enchanted elf knight, and held Tomlin to herself as tight as she could. The fairy queen set up an unearthly wail that tore through the darkness, and all the hundreds of riders thundered around, shrieking and howling. Suddenly, Janet felt Tomlin groan in her arms, and she realized she was holding a huge, hairy bear. Still, she held him fast, and she writhed into a hissing snake. Still, she clutched him in her arms, and he bucked into an angry, snapping wolf. Still, she held on tight, and he turned into a blazing branch that burnt into her flesh. Still, Janet refused to let go, and in a flash of cold lightning, she saw she was at last holding a naked human man. As she wrapped Tomlin in her cloak, a haunting cry came from the Fairy Queen. "Tomlin, I would rather have changed your eyes to wood and your heart to stone than lost you." Then suddenly, the wild hunt was gone, disappeared into the night, and Janet and Tomlin were left alone on the dark, winding moor to make their way home to the castle together. That's it for tonight. Thank you for listening. Have a great night. Please like and subscribe if you like my contents. I shall update daily and continue with my best efforts. Good night.